Hi, everybody, and happy Friday. Welcome back to Guild Chat. I'm your host, Ruby. Last week, we had some devs on talking to you about the new Fractal updates in the most recent update. So this week, it's time to talk about the Living World return and the new story. I'm going to start with the three devs we've got here. Frosty, I'll let you introduce yourself first. You guys go down the line and talk about what you worked on with this update.
So I'm Andrew Gray. I was the team lead on episode 1, and I worked on a lot of the Bloodstone map.
Ross Bealey, narrative designer. I wrote most of what you will see in the instances and a little bit of the open world.
Ben Newell. I was a content programmer on this episode, and I was in charge of the Out of the Shadow,
You can call it Kate's Cave.
Kate's Cave, fine. That's the only way I'll remember it.
Shadow
The Kate's Cave instance, as well as doing a bunch of more programming assistance.
And the amazing achievement names.
Wait, that was you too. This has not come up until now.
That was him, and Nick Hernandez, one of our QA embeds, came with the just dropping down. Or was it just dropping by?
Just dropping by, yeah. Yeah, my two favorite were Magic Unbound, The Gathering, and Mantelpieces.
Mantelpieces, I liked that one. Okay, so I am going to ask you to delve a little bit more into what a content programmer does.
Sure.
Because it's a very cool sounding but sort of mysterious title.
So, content programmer is a programmer who is embedded as a designer to a team to help develop the content. It's kind of a way of dog fooding, making sure that we understand where the flaws in our tools are and getting all of the bottlenecks taken care of as much as possible. It also means I get to be whenever a task comes up that is really, really horrible and tedious, they throw it at me because I will not want to do it and find a way to make it better.
Yep.
And we're all looking at Andrew suddenly.
Whoa.
Yay! All right, thank you guys for helping us start jumping in here. I do want to let you guys know we're going to take some questions at the end, so if you have any questions as we're going through, just drop them in chat and somebody will pass them along to us. We'll try to get to a few here toward the end. Sound good?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's talk about the story instances first. Let's start with the Heirs Memorial. That one we talked about because it was such a big opener, and it felt to me like there was a lot that you guys had to cover. I mean, we wanted to get, some fun in there and make it a good time, but we're also dealing with the death of a very important character in the story. So how did you find that balance and make a Norn celebration of life on top of everything else?
That was really pretty much the trick, is framing it more as a celebration rather than just a pure sad funeral.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We didn't want to not have those elements, but overall we wanted it to feel more celebratory. So it was kind of a like touch and go, kind of like, oh, let's put a little bit of this in and see if that works, and like, oh, that feels a little too sad, we'll take that out, and like you said, kind of just getting that balance correct.
Yeah, and not without being disrespectful about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Ritlock says some funny, maybe even cruel things at one point, but coming out of his mouth, it's like, yeah, it's Ritlock.
It's a very Ritlock thing to say,
yeah.
And that was some of the humor that I really liked that you got in without making it disrespectful or too flip. I mean, we have this Norn kid who's participating in the celebration of life, and I know she turned out to be like the hero of this instance. She wants to hang out with Ritlock Trombone.
Yeah, she wants to be part of Fate's
Razor.
Yeah. Who wouldn't with a guild name that awesome?
Ritlock.
Yeah. Well, Ritlock does not want to do
this.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, he was. I liked that he was. He's telling these great stories about Air, and he's remembering who she was, and at the same time, like, buzz off, kid. You bother me, but I've got my Uncle Beamish's sword.
Yeah.
So, what were some of the things we talked a little bit about iteration as you tried to find that balance? Can you talk about some things that didn't quite make it because it didn't feel appropriate?
One of the ones that people will see kind of the echo of is that at first, when it was like find some tasty meat for Garm, it was just like, oh yeah, we should just kill a rabbit and then feed the rabbit to this wolf. And everybody was like, yeah, sure. And then, someone's like, are we sure we should be killing things at a funeral? And then everybody's like, oh. Oh yeah, that does feel weird. So that kind of went by the wayside, but you can kind of see there's still a little remnant of that when you click on a bunny.
When you try to kill the bunny.
Yeah,
so
I
you try
did
to
that.
Kill the bunny. The game will reprimand you a little bit.
Yeah, it says something about how this isn't really a place to create more death, you cretin.
Yeah.
Who would think of something so dark?
Yeah.
Surely not us.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I apologized out loud. I was like, oh gosh, I'm sorry, it was an accident. So yeah, there's been some enjoyment and some awareness that I've seen, and I told you guys about this yesterday. Something that someone let us know on the Guild Wars 2 Twitter, and it was joking but not in a hateful way, so don't be awful to them. They said, so I wasn't thinking, and I accidentally went into Heir's Memorial instance, and the mini pet I had out was the Vine-Tooth Fowlin. Was that in poor taste? I said it kind of was. Maybe don't do that.
Too soon.
Yep.
Way too soon. Always too soon.
Yeah.
That needs to be a mini pet you don't take in there.
We should add a tripwire, and if you hit it with that mini pet, Newt should just
Yeah. Please leave.
bouncers show
Yeah.
up,
You could leave the instance and think about what you've done.
just throw you out the gate.
Oh man. All right, so we've
The
got.
little Vine-Tooth Fowlin should be like, sorry, boss.
It's not my control. They just brought me out. I'm with her. Oh man. So at the end we have a letter from Timey coming in, and that kind of moves us on to Renovis, which picks up a ton of story threads. I mean, we've got, what'd you call it, Ritlock cleaning out a spam folder?
Yes. Him throwing away that note. We've got just kind of a general catch up with Timey and see what she's been up to, and then there's always, Flunt.
I love Flunt. he's a good love to hate guy.
He really is, and his voice is amazing. Like the voice acting on him is just superb.
He really is. It's something that hadn't occurred to me. I just accepted it as, yeah, he's this cranky old fart that is terrible to Timey, and then I focused back on her.
Yeah.
Can you guys, I want to back up for just a second and talk about the handoff of the paper, because you had talked about animating that, and that was such a good story. I want you guys to hear it too.
So
Because it looks simple.
it seems simple,
Yeah.
and that's why when a narrative designer asks you to do something like throw a piece of paper, it seems like it should be a really easy request, but
Just a few
it
lines
actually
of code,
ended up.
perhaps.
Oh yeah. Just let me crack that out.
Let me hack this.
Two of you.
people, one keyboard.
Yes.
Yeah. Double hacking. No,
Anyway.
but it ended up being a combination of emotes and delays for gadgets turning on and a bunch of other things. It turned out all right. Not as perfect as I'd like it to be. In fact, as the build was going live, I was like, oh, if I had made it a skill with a projectile and the projectile landed, and it was just getting crazier and out of hand.
Some serious
We already
feature
spent
creep.
a lot of time just making him throw the piece of paper on the ground, so probably don't need to go back and spend more on it.
I mean, I don't know. Do you have other things you should be doing?
Nah.
A few. Ben, was it you that said you had heard people say that looked really good?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think a couple of our content creators commented on it in their videos where they're talking about the instance of how great the animation was on that. It's like,
Yeah, it's funny.
There
We
you go.
kind of get tunnel vision on these things. Like we're trying to make everything so perfect that like we're always just like, is this okay? Is this okay? And then we release it, and either like A, nobody notices the thing that we were worried about, or B, they are actually like, oh, that's great, and we're like, oh, I think we were a little self-critical at times when you look at something for as long
and
as
over
you
again.
looked at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is, but it works for me because it kind of fits with what we were talking about. We have all of these little things that are more than they seem, and that from a design standpoint. But going back into story, we've got, like we said, Renovis isn't deserted anymore. Ritlock is doing this thing. We've got Canuck coming back and dealing with the residual people being afraid of Sylvari. We've got Timey's continuing to grow up, which was a nice touch, her pointing out that she was 16.
Mm-hmm.
She's also a little bit taller.
I don't believe you.
You
We keep
underestimate
having
how
this-
small she used to be.
Yeah.
we keep having this conversation, and I keep looking. I've played through the story on a very small Sylvari, like the smallest Sylvari model you can make. And after we talked about this, I kept going back in and looking, and I'm like, I'm not seeing it. If I go back to an older story step, will she be smaller?
Yeah.
I'll be back. I have to go
I
do
can't
that right
believe
now.
you don't notice when we scale her up 0.0003.
I am the worst.
All that work.
Yeah. Where's your sense of nuance?
Well, I was
Change the
busy
digit.
admiring the paper handoff. I
Yeah.
was very excited about I was in awe, personally.
Well, thank you. Actually, Angel did a lot of that work. I just went in and kind of polished it at the end, so she should take the credit for that.
Thank
It's
you,
basically
Angel.
Pixar level, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm expecting that job offer any day now.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
Like, could you not?
I'm not even an animator. They would be very disappointed.
The job offer is not coming. I'm sorry. All right, so this feels to me like this instant was to pick up all of these story threads. Is that kind of where you were going with that?
Yeah, I mean, it had been a little bit since Hot, so it was kind of a matter of like reminding people the state of the world while, starting new story threads as well to kind of progress everything on, a certain level.
Yeah, and maybe hint that things are progressing here and there and will continue progressing. I mean, we've got Ritlock throwing away this paper.
Yeah, we
We've
don't
got-
know what that's about yet. There's Timey is
Yes.
doing some experiments on a chalk organ.
With blighting pod.
With blighting
fluid.
pod fluid, Timey,
Yeah.
sweetie, I love you, but come on,
Yeah,
help me out.
yeah. Potentially irresponsible. We'll see.
Or brilliant, depending on how it turns out.
I
you
know. We'll see.
Possibly both. I do like, it's a good indicator of Timey's character. That's something that you and I had talked about how much fun you have writing for Timey and Canuck.
Yeah.
Our player character is like, Timey, so the blighting pod fluid, here's what it does. And you've got a chalk organ. Are you sure that's good? And she's like, I'm sure it's fine. I don't know. Let's
Possibly
see what
go wrong.
happens.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
she's-
No. She, is she's feeling out this new role in Renovis as being like kind of king of research. So, or queen, is it maybe?
Even if she has to hide in a separate little
Yeah.
and keep Flint out.
Yep.
I like Flint, and I want to drop kick him at the same time.
Love to hate.
Yes. Okay, the last thing I want to mention before we scoot on to Bloodstone Fen, because it's so cool over there, is this little touch that you added, because it doesn't progress the story in a huge way, but you've got this thing in Timey's Dragon Lab where you can push buttons and eavesdrop on the other Asura. You just get a little insight into what they're thinking, what's going on out there, but it's not an enormous earth-shattering moment. What made you, and not you personally, but the team, want to put that in as a nice touch?
Well, that was all Angel, I believe.
Thank you again, Angel.
Yeah. The eavesdropping thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. She's just really good at kind of building that flavor and that, rounding out the world. And it's such an Asura thing to do, want to like eavesdrop and like want to know everything.
And some of the snarky comments that she overhears are very Asura as well.
Yeah, it's very true.
Yeah.
So, it's just it kind of gets back to like how good we are when we pass off paper. It's the details that make the difference. And, whenever we get the opportunity and have the time, we definitely love doing that.
Yeah. All right, so everybody, please appreciate the paper handoff because a lot went into it. All right, we get all of this. We've got the continuation of Magic Gone Crazy because the first thing you come in and you're attacked by a Haywire Golem. And you're still feeling the after effects of killing Mordramoth. And then Canuck shows up, scares everybody half to death, and off we go to Bloodstone Fen.
Yeah, because the certain human minister
Yes, has been misplaced.
gone missing.
Yes.
This guy.
It's
Yeah.
Caudicus Beetlestone, who was, if you've played the, what is it called? Caudicus's Manor? I always call it Estate, internal names. If you play that, at the end of that, the queen's like, hey, you got all this bandit problem in your house here. Why don't you come stay with me for safety? And he's been there since, but recently he left. So Canuck has been sent out to return him to safety.
It's super sweet of Canuck to worry about
Oh,
his
yeah.
safety.
He's
and I know
yeah.
it's
so worried.
He's really
he is,
worried.
and I know he's done this totally of his own accord.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, nobody's pulling any strings.
No.
Like,
No,
nobody's
that
forcing
poor guy.
him to do anything.
Canuck is incredibly salty about, and he's still holding his billet. And
Yeah.
how much fun was that to write?
It was so much fun. I think you'd mentioned a little bit earlier, but like
Mhm.
Timey and Canuck are two of my favorite characters to write, just because of that salty attitude and because of Timey's like kind of
This devil may care.
exuberance,
Yeah.
you know, and like sweetness, but really kind of could twist a screw at the same
Uh-huh.
time, you know. But and also all our voice actors are amazing, but you know, John DiMaggio and Debbie Derryberry are like, you know,
Yeah.
just really fun, just initially, just right off the bat to listen to. So
Yeah, they're
you can
so
kind of
perfect
hear
for
those voices
characters.
a little bit clearer in your head sometimes.
Mhm. All right, so we have Canuck being cranky, and off we go to Bloodstone Finn. And this is where the story progresses into the open world, because you have to train up your countermagic trait.
Yeah.
And you've given us a few things to do
Yeah.
to train this up.
So you get introduced to the both the mastery and the fact that Timey bugged you without you noticing while
That
you were
was
in
amazing.
Renovis, which is good because it gives us the opportunity to have her sort of be that voice in your head telling you what's going on without her always having to be there, especially since she doesn't have her golem right now. That would be slow. That would be pretty
And
slow
dangerous.
and dangerous.
Fairly dangerous.
I'm not moving past that loss of Scruffy anytime soon.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Nor should you.
Yeah. No.
R.I.P.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
So,
All right, so she's bugged your backpack.
yeah, she's bugged your backpack, and she tells you about this countermagic ability, which is actually based on research that you see happening in Guild Wars 1. If you played the Guild Wars Beyond War and Kryta content, you see in Zin's lab that the seer is being kind of dissected and worked on. And then later on in Hot, you learn that Zin is actually the one who ended up founding Renovis. So we were able to tie the last time the White Mantle were active in with this pretty well because of that connection. So with that ability, or while you're training that ability, your first step is sort of, you talk to Almora, who you caught a ride with, and you basically come to the conclusion, like, hey, something crazy is probably going on here. I think a Bloodstone just blew up. I'm going to go check this out. So you do, and it kind of takes you on like a guided tour around the map just to introduce players to what all is going on. But at the same time, your character is also sort of learning what happened here. Like, for example, there's the Citadel sort of floating in the air, not to be confused with the other floating castle.
We've got to... How many floating towers do we have, you guys?
Hey, you know what? Floating towers are cool, and and we like them here.
New episode name. There
Yeah,
we go.
the
Guild
floating-
chat. Floating
floating
towers are
tower.
cool.
Yeah. So there you see a lot of these chosen spirits that were sacrificed on the Bloodstone and have continued to be sacrificed on the Bloodstone in between the events of Guild Wars 1 and Guild Wars 2. They were all released, or at least a lot of them were released when the Bloodstone blew up. So
Make
this
it
is
sound
sort of
like
the
there's
first
some
sign
left.
that, like, well, something's not right with this Bloodstone if all these ghosts are here. And then you actually go down to a piece of the Bloodstone, and there you see, like, okay, yeah, this thing's not in one piece anymore.
This could be a problem.
Yeah, and then you go down to the surface and you interact. You actually first come across some White Mantle who are acting a bit off, but you're kind of used to them shooting at you. So at first you're like, huh, they're acting a little weird. And it's actually when you come across some packed forces that are crazed that you
Super
realize, like, oh, I think the Bloodstone sort of changed these people. And if you continue on, you actually find a packed camp where they were outside of the blast radius, and you can sort of find out what happened. And talking to the medic there, you find that they're like, no, they're basically kind of soulless zombies at this point, and the only real mercy is to kill them at this point, unfortunately.
This is not at all depressing.
No, it's very cheerful,
Yeah.
cheerful episode.
On a similar note, I do want to say how much these ghosts and spirits that are running around that we were talking about, how much some of their voice dialogue just kills me. So whoever did that, good work on breaking my heart.
Oh, the ghosts?
Yeah.
That was probably me. Yeah, especially during the Hableon fight, when they
Oh,
first.
jeez, right?
So by the way, yeah, Hableon comes back. He was
Spoilers.
yeah. Oops. He was.
No, this is why we waited until now to do this episode. You had your chance.
You had your chance, yeah. So actually, the last time you were at Bloodstone Fen in Guild Wars 1, you come across Hableon, and he's sacrificing Chosen, and that's the moment in Guild Wars 1 that you realize, like, hey, despite the fancy white armor, these guys might not be good guys, and you sort of turn on them because they're murdering innocents.
As you do.
Yeah, you usually anti-killing
Yeah.
innocents
The
for
turning,
the most part.
turning on you part as you do, not killing innocents
Right.
as you do.
Yes.
Nice backpedal,
Okay.
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
Gotcha.
Just wanted to be clear on that.
So you fight Hableon, but I guess your Guild Wars 1 character is slightly short-sighted at the fact that he killed him on top of a Bloodstone. So,
Why? Why did we do that?
well, I mean, it didn't.
The mechanics of Bloodstones back then.
It was a little hazy.
quite
Like they thought you
explained.
had to be chosen. Really, any spirits there, they just the chosen ones are more effective.
Is
or
everybody
whatever.
clear on please let's not do that anymore?
Yeah. Be careful around Bloodstones. So anyway, you killed him there, and some of his forces there. So we actually brought him and his soldiers back. There's a night meta down on the surface area, and after you cull some of the regular spirits, 4 white mantle spirits come out, and those are sort of Hableon's henchmen. And then in addition to him, he's up in the Citadel.
That's like a band name.
And like, it's pretty metal.
Heavily
Dark metal from Sweden.
Damn, somebody's jotting that down. All right. So during the Hableon fight, especially, like as you're sort of beating these spirits back into their senses and realizing that you're not their enemy with your
Also,
sword,
As you do.
as you do, they start realizing like, oh wait a minute, yeah, the last thing I remembered, this guy was cutting my head off, and then they turn on him and they help you defeat Hableon, which is just kind of a nice moment.
It's
for
a
them.
good fight mechanic. I really liked it.
Yeah, that and the portals throwing you into the air thing.
I liked that less.
You like that less, but you get to shoot him on the way down.
I was too busy trying to figure out what had happened because I found this out the hard way. That hey, the blue circles, you might want to avoid those.
You know,
Just suddenly I'm flying through the air and I have no idea what's going on.
you should especially avoid them if you're low on health because they also take damage on you. So there is a strong likelihood that if you get teleported, you might be in the down state. Guess what you can't do when you're downed?
Glide.
Yeah.
Okay.
This was all deliberate.
So here's a story. It's a good story. This is how I found out, is by getting in the blue circles. But what I did is come up to the top of that wall out there, and I decided I'd glide down, and I landed in one. This is how I found out. So I was at least full health. It wasn't that bad, but my entire trip down was me going, okay, there's something about this fight where we can't be on the ground. I don't understand. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
But not really.
You're perfectly welcome.
This is the most sarcastic thank you. All right, speaking of gliding, can we talk about the new gliding skills in Bloodstone Fen? Because you made Bloodstone Dust kind of valuable again. Which
Yeah.
is weird, but all right.
So early on, we knew this was going to be a very vertical map. We didn't have a very large piece of the map left. There was
that
raids
raid's in
above
the way.
us. Yeah, well, but they're pretty sweet, so I'm not going
They
to
are
argue
pretty
with
sweet
that.
raids.
There's raids above us, and there's what is it?
Vertibrink.
Verdant Brink below us. So we only had this like small area. So we determined early on, like, well, it's just going to have to be a vertical map. We're just going to have to build up. And I had worked on the Shatterer before, and I gave gliding skills in, and it seemed to go over pretty well. And every single time I glide into any map, I really want to be able to shoot things while I'm in the air. I don't know. I'm greedy, I guess. I just want more.
Sounds
So
like
I figured, like,
bloodthirsty.
if we're going to be having people gliding so much in this map, we should make combat in the air a thing. So all the creatures can attack you from, yes, large distances, as people have noticed. I guess Bloodstone power really makes you have a good arm. They should be pitchers.
Well,
Remind
it's all
me
the
never to go
hammer
skydiving
throwing.
with you.
But yeah, so we gave you skills so you can attack back. There's the first one you get right when you get in the map is just a sort of beam attack that does more damage the closer you get. The second one is a magic volley. And this one was specifically made to have a very, very heavy CC on it. And that's to make it so players feel like you're going to do less DPS in the air most likely. So we're like, well, if you're going to do less damage and you can't use your utility skills or your elite or your healing skill for that matter, we should give you something else. So we figure, well, they'll just be really good at contributing to break bars in those fights. And it does take a huge, it's like a 6-second CC, so that is not...
Yeah, it takes
It's not
a
a little bit.
huge chunk out
It
of
does
break
take a big
bars.
chunk, yeah. And then the third skill is actually a ground skill that you put on the ground to heal your allies. It pulses heal, it gives regeneration, and it cures conditions. And the thought process with that is just that I played a monk at Guild Wars 1, and I love it when you can heal your allies. It makes you feel like you're contributing.
Just call skill 3
And
Andrew.
That's right.
Andrew's nostalgia, skill 3.
That's right. But in addition to that, it's also nice if you're about to land, you can throw it on the ground and then you land into it, and then you can continue, and you have all these bonuses while you fight on the ground.
Nice.
And then the fourth one is a dodge and a heal that lets you break the aggro with the powerful throwing guys, and also heals you up a bit since you are taking damage in the air.
Keeps you from turning into a MOA.
And then the fifth one is one of my favorites. It's a surge skill. It's basically afterburners. It's really good for when you're going around collecting the unbound magic. If there's one that's just out of reach, you can sort of
Duly
pulse
noted.
forward and get it. Yeah, you really want that. And it's also it's something to make ley line gliding more attractive. Because ley line gliding, and this is something that Ben actually helped us with, ley lines in general were really kind of a pain to set up, so we haven't used them as much as we'd like to. Ben has fixed that now, so we can use them more. But I wanted something else there to be like, no, really, you want to get ley lines. So, yeah.
Can we pause and talk about ley line setup? Because this is continuing to be my favorite story.
Sure. So,
and thank you for making it work.
as we were starting to get the environment for Bloodstone Fen together, we realized we needed a lot of mastery so that you could navigate through the map easily. And so, Frosty asked me to set up a bunch of ley lines just so that we could get a feel for the map. And I started doing it, and then I told him no, because it was really a tedious process. Basically, a ley line is composed of tripwires or volumes that apply a force. And you have to enter a force in manually with coordinates, which means you have to figure out where the next ley line is from where you are, do the vector math, normalize the vector.
So if you have a ley line that's going up and curving over and then swinging around this way and then going back up, and as they do in Bloodstone Fen.
Basically, long story short.
Yes, this is the short version.
Which is why I asked my gameplay programmer over here if he would like to take that task.
And you said, I would love that.
Well, so, I mean, I wrote a utility tool that we can use in our editing tools, and it pretty dramatically sped up the process. So we actually got that out in time for the last Raids release, which helped them quite a bit too, I think, with the ley lines in that encounter. So
this is a really good example of what a content programmer does. Is make it so things work.
When things work,
everybody can do their jobs.
That's how they work.
It's easier. Thank you.
Yeah.
You guys are gold. All right, so speaking of things fighting back and that dodge, can we talk about some of the attack skills they have, like turning me into a MOA?
Oh, yeah, so that's...
I'm really taking that personally. I'm sorry.
That's actually the magical storms. Those are environment effects. We just wanted something that, A, conveyed that magic was going crazy in the map, B, made it so there was extra danger in the air so you weren't just flying around invincible shooting stuff all day long, and C, amused me endlessly.
You're going to turn me into a bird.
And turning people into flightless birds when they're flying is freaking hilarious. Like, every single time I see it, it brings me joy. Well, you miss it, don't hit it. I mean, they're pretty visible.
Get good is what you're telling me.
A little bit. Yeah.
I swear, as God is my witness, I thought MOAs could fly.
Thank you.
WKRP reference.
I watched it.
Yeah.
Come sit by me. We'll be the old people together.
Yeah, you bet.
All right. We have a lot going on in this map. Can we talk about the journals for a little bit?
Yeah. So, obviously, the White Mantle did not just spontaneously wake up from a sleep. They've been doing stuff for a while, so we wanted to have something that kind of shows what they've been up to. So we have these journals spread around the map that you can collect, and there's a collection tied to them and a reward. But they sort of tell the story of like the White Mantle kind of starting to poke at this Bloodstone. Their, at this point, unnamed leader is really prioritizing weaponization. He wants to find ways to use Bloodstone magic as a weapon so he can claim Kryta. He or she, I suppose, could claim Kryta. Yeah.
Spoilers!
So they start doing these experiments, and there's three different... The journals are from three different people's perspectives. There's sort of the head researcher, And then there's the Justicar, who's like, he's always complaining about these damn scholars, and he doesn't understand the magic. He just knows that he wants some weapons, and why are they taking so damn long? And then there's a third person who's like,
I'm sorry, there's like 10 jokes there.
yeah,
Very
it's sort of like the intern nobody's listening to, even though they're totally right. And she is realizing as they're doing these things, like, man, the more you guys poke at this thing, the worse things get around here. Maybe we should stop poking at this thing. And then towards the end, right before the events of the actual map when you're in it, she's pretty damn sure that you're about to blow this thing up. You guys really need to stop.
This is not okay.
So she reports this. Well, okay, I won't spoil the end. I'm not going to spoil the end, but that's kind of the general theme of the journals. You should collect them. They're fun. But it's also interesting because it goes back further than just like right now, and it talks about like when Zaitan died or when Mordermoth died, how the Bloodstone reacted to that, and it sort of reveals that this thing wasn't just like, oh, back when the Seers made it, they stuck a bunch of magic in it. It's actually still sort of drawing magic. So when the dragons died, it reacted pretty significantly.
That was one of my favorite parts too, because that puts this whole area in the entire timeline of Kryda for the duration of Guild Wars 2. It just made it feel a lot more like a cohesive world to me, personally. Loved that.
Yeah, I completely agree. Once you get all of these, once you fly around the map, you find all of these pages, there's an achievement. Collection, not collection of dunces, conspiracy of dunces. Thank you. I was like, oh gosh, what is it? And I do want to pause for just a second and give a thank you to the Guild Wars 2 wiki community, because I don't know if you guys have seen it, but they laid it out. So if you just want to go and read all of this text, it's laid out in chronological order and in like a grid. Here's who wrote this, here's who wrote this, and it's really well done. And somebody put in a lot of time to get all of that text typed up and arranged in a way that was easy to navigate. So thank you guys.
Thank
as
you,
always.
wiki people.
Thank you, wiki people. We love you. You want to talk about the diving goggles?
Huh.
There it is.
So
I'm just like making you so happy today.
we like to put diving goggles in maps, but this map does not have water, and we didn't really want to add water to it. But it had this really massive drop from like the top of the islands to the bottom of the crater. It just goes on forever, and it's like, well, it doesn't really make any sense for us to just stick like a puddle there or something. Like, so what can we do? And we realized like, oh, well, it's the Magic Going Crazy map, so we can do pretty much whatever the hell we want. So we made it so you jump off, and as you go down, I kind of left you a trail of breadcrumbs, so to speak, with the Unbound Magic nodes to let you know if you're getting off track. And then right before you're about to splat on the ground, a portal opens and then throws you right back up to the top and drops you on the island. So it's kind of it was originally...
There it is. I was like, please tell the rest of
It
this.
was originally going to be an actual endless loop where you would fall through the portal, come back to the top, falling right back to the portal, and then just keep doing that. But there was a bug where the second time when you loop back up around, your gliding just didn't work. And the diving goggles just went away. And so with that came your I'm not going to take fall damage protection. So it basically not really be so much an endless loop as a single loop to your death.
It's a good time. You
Yeah.
also didn't want a server programmer to come to your house,
Yeah,
kick the
that's
door
the
in.
other one. I was like thinking, like, I swear somebody said something about endless loops being questionable, so I decided it's probably
fun.
not the best idea.
Something that just occurred to me, what you could have done was just made a giant pile of bloodstone dust on the map floor, like a pile of leaves that you jump into.
But who would leave a pile of bloodstone dust lying around? That stuff's so valuable.
Certainly
I'm
not
just
the white
saying
mantle.
it would've
They
been-
need it.
Oh my gosh.
They need it.
What are you trying? What are you trying to say, Russ?
I'm just saying
That they-
it's good for decorating, is what I'm saying.
It's
they
good
just
for
they love it.
decorating.
Yeah.
It's good substitution for paprika.
Yeah. They have little Zen gardens, you know, where they put bloodstone dust and like put rocks in there and be like, oh, now I'm gonna do spirals around.
with bloodstone dust
Sounds
because
fancy.
they're
Yeah.
so calm. And
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah,
Can-
can't you tell they're really calm?
They're
Quit
they're
anytime they want.
centered, you know. Like that's what I like about them.
Hey, let's talk about the Guild Wars 1 callbacks because
Yeah.
those were super fun. Who's was that like a collective idea or was that just you saying, "Hey, you know what we should do"?
Well, I mean, I think it was sort of an inevitability when we started talking about White Mantle and all that stuff, just because it's like we're going back to the original prophecies. It's kind of you kind of have to at that point.
Yeah.
Luckily, like both me and Lindsay worked on Guild Wars Beyond, the War and Credit stuff. So like basically the last time we talked about the White Mantle was when we were working on it, and then we're like, we're gonna pick this back up. It's like, well, how convenient.
By the way.
So we happen to know a lot of that stuff already. But yeah, we love going back to the original game as much as we can. I think it really helps drive immersion and lets you realize like this is a world. This has been a world even between the gap where you weren't able to see it because there isn't a game between the two. But like sort of lets you know that everything has still been evolving.
So I did something I noticed while we were talking. We were talking a lot about Alari Doubleblade running around and realizing I'm still self-conscious about spoiling you guys, but realizing that maybe she didn't survive this thing. And there was a nice balance struck there between giving Guild Wars 1 players something to recognize and players who just came in at the Guild Wars 2 point saying, okay, I understand what's happening, and this isn't just a weird in-joke that isn't making any sense to me. So it's really well done.
Yeah, that was actually Connie helped us with that. She's the one that brought that one in, and I really like how it kind of it was a perfect kind of finale for the night meta because you have a lot of just like kill, and then at the end you're like, hey, this person is like still like, hey, help me kill these people, but you're at the end of it you get to sort of give her some closure. And originally at the end she sort of asked you, hey, tell me I didn't survive that ambush, did I? And we didn't actually have the player respond in the VO, and I was like,
nice.
I was like, it's a little mean. It seems like you're kind of leaving her hanging there. So I thought, like, well, what if we actually made it so the player can respond to that question by doing a /yes emote? And if you do that, you get the, what is it, grief counselor?
Grief counseling, I think.
Yeah, grief counseling achievement, and you help her sort of move on with her life. Or move on with her not life.
Her
gosh.
afterlife.
Her afterlife, that's the one.
Wow, I didn't even catch that until you flinched. And I was
Yeah.
like, that's not nice. All right, so thank you for this huge map with all of the gameplay. And I'm saying thank you as a general, not thank you for doing this all by yourself.
Right.
Living
There's
here for
many
months.
people worked on this.
Yeah, thank you all. So we have all of this stuff to do. We get Countermagic, and then we move on to A Shadow's Deeds.
Ben, that's Cave's Cave, in case you were wondering.
Right. Yes.
Not nice.
So, yeah, there's this huge explosion, all got sucked back in. What happened? The storyline guides you down to the center of the cave where you're trying to figure out what the hell happened here, what could have caused this, and you find these remnants of the explosion where there's magical scorch marks along the ground, and they all lead up into this ritual room where one of the empowered bloodstones crashes into the ground, and you see a echo of something that had happened. I always thought of it as like when you turn the key on a car and the engine doesn't roll over.
Oh no.
So the player has the brilliant idea of, well, let's smash some more bloodstone up here. Nothing bad could possibly happen from this.
Taking something from Timey.
A little Timey influence there.
And Keith also drops in on you at this point. And there was a lot of ambivalence and unresolved conflict between the player and Keith at this point. So this was a really great opportunity for them to clear the air and figure out where to go from there. And it's still kind of... Ross did all the writing on that, and I think it's really masterfully written out the way...
You are too kind, sir.
Especially after he picked on you about Keith.
I almost feel bad about it.
It was
now.
a little rough around the edges, the writing, I thought. But
there it is.
I have to point out how much I love Kate's timing on, okay, we're under attack. Hey, listen, can we talk? I need to have a serious heart-to-heart with you.
yeah, that was a serendipitous bug. So I made a mistake in one of our playtests early on, and one of the fights would continue on longer than it was supposed to, and the conversation would start. And everyone kind of latched onto that and said, oh, when she says, bad timing here. That makes perfect sense here. So, all right, now we're going to make it work that way always. So, yeah, that was kind of tricky because we don't do dialogue during combat very much.
We made up for it now.
Yeah. And yeah, it worked out really, really well. It was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah. That's every once in a while those things will get a little tricky and then work out beautifully. So
Yes.
I like the concept of my player character calling Keith out on her consistently terrible timing. It's so bad.
Yeah, why would she start now?
Yeah.
She's been that way in the past.
Yeah, it's not new. And I am going to have to agree with Ben. I like that it wasn't just, hey, sorry, things were just kind of hard for me. Totally okay, forgotten. There's still that ambivalence, and it's not a thing that you can just get over with.
Yeah, I
Super
mean,
quickly.
we definitely wanted to breathe, I don't know, truth into the moment. And,
Mhm.
when people kind of don't act in a great way, you don't instantly just go, sure, buddy. Now let's get these things together,
Yeah.
You kind of harbor some,
You've got some
ill will.
resentment.
Yeah.
All right, thank you guys. We're going to take a short break after you guys answer a couple of questions. I'll let
Yeah.
you guys pick the ones you want.
So, Zira was a High Inquisitor. Codicus is the actual Confessor. Confessor is the highest rank of the White Mantle.
The question is, was Zira the leader or was Codicus the leader?
Codicus.
Zira's just taller.
Codicus is the leader. Zira was kind of probably directly under Codicus. But they definitely sort of had differing views. Zira was all about the Mersat for real. And Codicus, you sort of learn at the end of everything that he's actually just more about I want to take credit for myself. So
He's not the nicest dude.
there's definitely a sort of rift in the White Mantle between the truly devout and the opportunistic, I suppose.
Why not both?
I saw a question earlier that is one of the ones that's been pressing on me more than anything else.
What happened to Plant?
Yes, that's the
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, why?
I saw
Why,
that, too.
Ross? Why?
Plant was trampled. There's nothing, I mean, the journal
Again,
says...
I say, why?
Yeah. I do, though, there's part of me that think we'll never see this, but if Timey ever rebuilds, Scruffy into a new thing, like in the control panel, there'll be like, how like fighter pilots would have a picture of their significant other, and then there'll be like a little sepia-toned picture of Plant that she's like, "This is for you, Plant," like driving. So you
Show
can
of
sleep
hands.
on that, like, and know that like Plant's memory will be honored, and
Plant
Show
will
of
be
hands, who
avenged.
wants
Yeah.
that to happen now?
yeah.
Make it happen, Ross.
Yeah.
You've
The
just
community
committed
could
yourself.
probably do some fan art of that. That would happen a lot quicker.
That'd be amazing. All right.
Do you want to talk about the shadow effect?
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, yeah, because that was...
Because they actually asked about it.
and I forgot about it. Thank you for
yeah.
covering me.
I don't know if
The
anybody
question-
did any like research. Like that is just something that I had remembered from school. Like when they go over that like it has so much weight and gravity to it that you're like.
Hang on, let's
I
ask
will-
the question first. Did
Okay,
you
sorry.
research the original nuclear shadow effect for this? And this was that atomic shadow
I
that
think
we
that's
talked
what
about.
prompted it, right, Ben? Like,
Well, I mean, yeah, we've just seen this massive explosion, tremendous energy obviously emanating out of it, and in this ritual room, it just seemed like a really natural thing to really highlight the devastation and power of this explosion. I mean, this was obviously nuclear scale at least. I mean, didn't we say that the explosion was going to hit Lion's Arch?
yeah, that was actually another question I saw earlier.
Please no.
That we didn't see the full impact of what that explosion would have been because it got pulled back in. But yeah, it would have been really bad.
Yeah,
Like,
and I mean
really bad.
to draw like, oh yes, it would have been this. Like I don't think anybody knows. I think Almora says that line.
Yeah,
like it's speculation of like,
Right.
oh, it could have taken out blankety blank. It's actually I think you threw that line in.
Yeah.
Which I really like that because it calls back to like they just rebuilt the place. Like, that was really
Could we
funny.
please stop exploding lions? Arch?
Yeah, that would have been amazing if we did that again.
Oh my god.
And by amazing, you
we
mean
have
please
a broken
no.
version of it.
Please stop. Just every time something happens, we put the broken one back in the game.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody, guess what? So you researched this.
Well, yeah, especially the art team did, and they did a really great job of putting this mental image that we'd brainstormed of how to convey this. Which, like, are we gonna pull that off? But yeah, it was amazing. The effects team just blew everything out of the water. In that instance, in particular, everything from the empowered shards exploding to the whole scene that you see with some being drawing in the magic. It was just it all came together so well. It was amazing.
It really did. I'm going to ask you guys to address one of these questions because Dragon 2200 is asking the important questions up there at the top.
Well, I'm not going to tell you who the White Mantle Spy is. Come on now.
Is Oxbone the White Mantle Spy in the Priory?
That would be
like to
telling.
know?
I wasn't going to let you guys skip over that one. It's important to know. All right, so what else we got?
A question about Confessor Estelle. The thought process was Codicus was her successor. She was a confessor in a personal story, and he assumed the role afterwards.
So the question was, can you explain why during Codicus' time as confessor, we had another confessor called Estelle in the human storyline about dead parents? Was she Codicus' patsy? This is like a screen full of conspiracy theories.
I mean, you don't know the relationship between the two of them. Maybe you'll learn more about it. But she was the confessor before him, basically.
Okay.
Is all we're going to say.
I smell foreshadowing.
Yeah.
All right, we're
Or
going
not.
to take a very short break, and we will be back in just a minute with someone from FX. One of these days, we seriously need to do like a guild chat behind the scenes. Terrible things that happen when we're off
Things
camera.
overheard at ArenaNet.
All right, so
HR. I will only remind you.
so Ben left, and I can't blame him. And Franco has come back on. I'd like you to do what we did earlier and just talk about a little bit about what your role is and what you did for this release.
Sure. Franco Galetta, I'm effects artist, working with the designers and Ross and the team, doing effects for this episode.
Franco's really, really like high strung, so we're working to keep him calm.
One at a time, folks.
One at a time. Okay, so we've gone through, we talked with Ben a little bit about Kate's Cave, which I am just calling it forever now.
Yeah.
I am ruined. We've got through here, and I want to talk a little bit about Countermagic, because that's the thing, we trained that up, and it allowed us to proceed, but now I want to talk about what do you do with it and what it is.
Well, I guess
We all look at Franco. You're the new guy, you're getting picked on.
Well, a lot of the Countermagic it did use a lot of like the Bloodstone, right? So there's a lot of like bi-directional beams that were created for you to actually kind of absorb it, but then give it back. So this basically kind of having look development done for previous Bloodstone skills and effects. Especially with some of the rage stuff. It was more of like a refined state, as far as like the crystals. But this is the epicenter of the explosion. So a lot of the Bloodstone, it's at more of a raw state. So it's just a little bit more unstable per se. So the effects had to kind of encompass that a little bit more of that kind of powerful kind of just crazed kind of feeling.
It's more
right?
intense because you're
It's more
right there.
intense. Yeah, you're right there, and there's a lot more that it's pulling in energy from. You don't know exactly what it's from, but there's something happening. It's a lot more.
That's actually a good way to get into something else that I wanted to talk to you about. Because we're at the epicenter, like you said, we're right here where this broken Bloodstone is. There's a lot going on, and I know most of the player base has had a chance to look around and see, what's going on here. But the more subtle things, like this beam that we were talking about, what were some things that you did to, as far from an... Let me try that again, because apparently I don't have my words all loaded yet.
Two.
Yeah, take two. Just delete that later,
It's not
Mark.
live, it's cool.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I don't understand that concept, obviously.
What were some of the things that you did in the area, or that the effects team did, to give it that look that we had this epicenter and everything's more intense and the Bloodstone's making everything insane?
Well, the map artists really did a phenomenal job filling in the space, and also the prop artists, Dana and Kevin, they did an amazing job just filling the space, and just basically those subtle nuances. Like we created the scorch marks. I created the scorch marks that are actually leading you up the case cave, and just some of the environment that was built out too for it. It's just basically the ambient kind of effects that are happening in the environment zones, and then case cave. Just basically just as it was a really true collaborative kind of efforts where we all talked through it, and just once it was actually pitched as far as the idea, and just coming up with how we're going to tackle remnants of an actual blast, right, and just give it that eerie feeling.
It worked. Once we got down in there, because I spent a lot of the map. I was too busy being turned into a MOA like an idiot to really.
You said it.
I am aware that I brought it on myself. I am fully aware it's my own fault. It doesn't stop it from happening as often as I would like. But the more I go around the map, the more I look around, the more I see all of these little effects that add to the overall feel. And you were talking about Kate's Cave, and once I get down in there and start looking around, there is a slightly different look. It still fits with the rest of the map, but there's this look that you're down there and you're at the core of something really bad that happened.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the whole essence of it is basically just kind of trying to figure out what happened here, right? So, and that's where the echo comes in, where essentially, it's almost like a something that is just happening, like a moment in time, and you're just kind of it's like an echo in time. So it's almost like you're going back and seeing that short snapshot, and it was really great because we brought in another effects artist, Christina, and she did a really great job on building that out, and we collaborated and we built it out, and it's what it is. Actually, it was a really team effort. So, yeah, it was really great to work on, and
you guys did good work.
Well, we have
is another really one.
I'm sorry.
The crazed effect is another really good.
Oh
one.
yeah, I was working with Andrew with the Bloodstone crazed effect, and we just wanted to kind of give it that extra kind of volume of like, well, they've really been corrupted, and they're kind of tweaking.
Somebody had to say it.
I had to stop. Sorry, we it came up in conversation. I had to put it out there. But we should have it just be like a Dare logo somewhere or something. But
say no to Bloodstone baskets.
And Bloodstone candy.
Franco.
Look, it defies gravity. Look at that.
See? Magic.
Magic.
Or just really old candy. I suspect it's maybe a little bit of both. But did you bring enough for everybody?
No, I pulled a Spicoli. I just have enough for me. That's a really old reference.
Extra points for that.
Yeah. Actually, that was courtesy of Bobby, Fun Bobby. More the narrative guys.
Another old reference.
Yes, he was kind enough to bring another guy. They make a cake for raids, and he brought this in, and I hold on to it dearly.
I suspect I don't want to be like the actually person, but I think that was his wife.
Yeah,
Thank you, Carol.
I didn't want to throw her out there.
That's okay. She bakes us things, and they're delicious, and we love her
she's
for
really
it.
awesome. What a kind soul.
I am definitely not hitting her up for some of those cookies.
There's cookies?
Well, not yet, but I'm hoping if I play my cards right.
Get some Bloodstone cookies.
Yes.
I love you, Carol. Okay, I've made my bid for snacks for all of us now. All right, can we talk about the Confessor Stronghold? Because this is like the grand finale of all of this going on, and we're going to go in there, and we're going to get Caudicus, and we're going to solve this thing.
Yeah, but first you got to kick open some doors.
Oh my god, that was the best thing ever.
Wow.
Like,
so
number one
doors.
feature of the release, door kicking.
Yeah.
We should have made that a mastery.
That was like something that Anthony just like kind of casually threw in.
Yeah.
And I was like, why have I never seen this before?
I never
back
want to
up
open
and
a door
talk
like a
about the
peasant ever
door
again.
kicking mastery.
Every time.
Yeah. I know.
I would train the door kicking mastery so fast.
Oh yeah, everybody would because it's the
Make
best
it happen.
mastery. I'll work on that.
Make it happen. I mean, the Daredevil there's a lot of punching and kicking happening. So I feel like the precedent is there, and now we've got actual door kicking, and everybody should be able to do it everywhere.
Yes.
I want to go to Cauticus's actual house
Just start
his
kicking
and
doors.
the
just
doors.
out of spite,
Yeah.
kick
Can
his
you
doors.
kick it and nothing happens, but then it opens afterwards? So it's just kind of
That would be amazing. That's when you don't have it fully trained up. That's like the first level,
Yeah.
and then you train it. And
When your kicks are just suggestions.
I would like for this to happen, if you feel like it. You totally. Okay, so
That's
all the
another
door
title,
kicking,
by the way.
Yes.
and then Cauticus, and then we're done.
Yeah.
Yep,
this
that's
is-
it.
yeah,
That's the only other
done.
thing.
Ship it.
Yeah.
Uh,
There was no other
Real quick,
person,
by the way,
unless
we're
I'm
taking
forgetting.
more questions. So if you have some for
someone.
Franco.
God, there was something else after Codex. I
was
can't
tiny,
remember. I guess that was it. You know,
must
you're
not have
right.
been
Yeah.
important. Yeah, must not have been relevant to the season storyline or anything.
Oh yeah, that Mersat guy.
That's the worst.
Yeah, that was a little surprise at the end for Pete.
Yeah,
for
that
folks.
was. I think we'd been hinting at it a little bit before, but we get to the end. We've got our showdown with Cauticus. Dude's invulnerable while talking. Can we talk about this? Because I kind of wanted to just like start stabbing him and make him shut up, and I tried. I tried hard, and
How'd you even get to him?
Yeah, how'd you get up there?
well, I was kind of ineffectively like 40 feet back, just angrily jabbing at the air.
Oh, so you're stabbing at the air
Yeah.
in his general direction.
That actually happens in real life too.
yeah, that doesn't
Yeah.
work. It's not how you stab people, by the way.
You live a different life than I do. I'm noticing.
You know.
Yeah, we have knife fights at lunch.
Yeah.
Really, I've got to
you
start
tie your
coming out
wrist,
into
you tie your
damage.
each wrist together, and then
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's basically the Beat It video. Every lunch.
Yeah.
I don't know what has happened, but I really like it. And I'm going to need somebody to recreate that video on
Yeah.
the next lunch hour.
Can we get Cauticus and Lazarus to like in that?
Could we have like a Sharks versus Jet,
Yeah.
like some kind of dance off?
Yeah.
oh man.
Okay, so
Oh, spoiler!
God.
You told them
damn
about our
Sorry.
dance off.
sorry.
God,
Yeah, we gotta
Ruby.
rip it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mark, delete that later.
Yeah.
Yeah, take that out in post.
Episode 2, You Got Served, is now spoiled.
Serve some
Good
Bloodstone.
job.
We've actually already done the You Got Served thing, so it's not a spoiler. It's ancient. All right, so you guys knew coming in, we have Cauticus, and then we're going to have Lazarus come busting out of nowhere and call Cauticus bad names.
Fork-tongued
How
snake,
did-
I think, was in there.
Yeah.
There were some good insults in there.
Yeah.
All right, so how did you even start deciding how do we want to convey this? How do we want Lazarus to come in? How do we want this to go down?
I mean, it was. We rely a lot on our cinematics team, who are awesome.
Yes.
We kind of come in with basically what you just said.
The
Like,
dance battle thing?
Yes, we say dance battle, and they gave us this, which is weird because there's no dance at all. No, we come in with this like, oh, and Lazarus comes back, and this is kind of the moment, and they just go, okay, and they make something
They
that's
make
way
something
better.
fabulous.
Yeah, than when we first described it, and then we all look at that and go, oh, that's awesome, and just hope that everything supports it up until that moment.
Yeah, that's my experience with a lot of art requests. Like, I want it to be all like sparkly and cool looking and stuff.
Make
and
it
then someone
pop.
like Franco comes in and actually translate that into something that's actually really amazing.
Do they just all like smile at you and wait for you to leave, and then
We
then
just-
look at Franco
we just
like
we just say, I think he's trying to say something.
it's like he's trying to speak to us. What is it?
What the hell do you want?
Is Timmy in the well?
magic and sparks and stuff.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, game development. This is how it gets done. All right, so we've got Lazarus. He takes off, and then we're done. Except Timmy has. Oh hey,
One
by
more
the
thing
way.
to say.
Just a minor little thing.
Yeah, just a minor. What does she say? A partially, marginally,
Marginally
possibly
Tiny bit cataclysmic.
Yeah, Primordius looks like it's time.
Sweet. So what's gonna happen next?
Oh well, let me tell you. Yeah.
Primordius has been in the wizard's castle, in the wizard's
Yeah.
tower this whole time.
Yeah, that's it.
Are you gonna tell us? Are you gonna give us
Let me think about
spoilers?
it. Probably not.
Okay. You want to take a question instead?
Probably not. But the question
You
is.
can make something up. You can lie.
Yeah. Oh, good. Because they are best buds growing up. No. Why did Lazarus let Caudicus get away in the end instead of frying him? Good question. Not really going to directly answer it, but
you guys, I'm trying
yeah.
here.
But you can know that Lazarus is a man that, back, probably not going to sit on a beach and just be like, it's good. This is all right.
Lazarus is missing out.
So, we'll see.
I expect we'll see more from both of them at some point.
All right. I want to ask all three of you, as we wrap up, what was your favorite part of this release? And you can answer that from development or a player perspective.
That's tough.
It is tough. I mean, aside from door kicking and note throwing.
Yeah.
Door kicking and note throwing is a perfectly valid answer. If you want to go bigger, though, it's cool.
I'd say for me, it's kind of a toss-up between the Hableon fight, being able to bring that piece of both the lore and being able to put a lot of cool mechanics into that fight, and the Jade Construct fights. There's a lot of hidden Guild Wars 1 references in the Jade Construct fights. Like, they use Splinter Barrage. If you played Guild Wars 1, you used to mitigate half of my content with things like Splinter Barrage. So I'm getting you back now.
So I'm trying to look sorry.
Yeah, you're not.
No. I'm sorry, I can't.
Yeah.
Does that make you feel better, though, now? Splinter
Sure.
Barrage? Okay.
For me, honestly, I think Frosty touched on this a little bit about us, looking at something over and over and over and like wondering, did we get it? Does this feel good? And so my favorite part has been after it's all done, seeing the response has just been amazing. And just like such a relief and weight, because you just think about it constantly. It's like, is this right? Is this part right? Did we do this enough? Are people going to understand this part? And like.
Well, you've been staring at it for so long.
Yeah, but just to see people like pick up on like little things, that you throw in there with the thought at the time, and like, oh yeah, this. If people don't get it, like it's fine, and people pick up on all of it. So it's
like the Ritlock trombone thing.
yes, like
they
Ritlock trombone.
ran away with that.
Yeah, or someone was even like, oh, like Timey's, researcher dialogue sounds great because she's talking about the sensitivity of her instruments and like stuff like that.
I saw that.
Yeah, that you just are like, oh, it's even like a word choice, like right there, makes a difference to someone, and that's amazing. So.
Well, you guys deserve it. You did good work.
That's been the best.
Franco, how about you?
Well, for me, just working with such a passionate team, I think everybody really put a lot of care into it, and just basically came together really nicely. And from the effects standpoint, I mean, you have some really great lore from G1, and then also just some really great writing. And being able to actually pull in from real-world reference to see how it would actually apply in a world where it's more ethereal, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was a really great. I mean, there's so much variety too to be able to apply different things in this map particularly, because so many things are happening. So it was really kind of a fun thing, and being cognizant of effect soup, right? So
Effect soup.
yeah. So.
Can we put that on like the wall outside your pod?
Yeah, we'll do like the old Warhol picture of the Campbell soups,
Yes.
with effect soup, right?
Nice.
So,
This is awesome reference day.
Yeah.
Well, that's because it's lunchtime.
Yes.
So
It is lunchtime.
tomato soup. We'll have some tomato soup with some crackers
that sounds good.
or Bloodstone.
We have goldfish crackers, Bloodstone crackers,
Yeah, Bloodstone.
but then there will never be enough.
Yeah.
They'll just be gone.
Well, we could
every
always
day.
make them, right? We could go Breaking Bad on it. And,
Oh gosh, on that terrible note. This really has been like the best reference show ever. We've had like 10 really good ones.
well, the one reference was the Battlestar Galactica reference. I didn't get to foot, but that's fine. For the
You can do it now if it
atomic
makes-
shadows.
There you
Yeah.
go. It's like you can do it now if you want to. All right. Thank you guys for watching, and thank all of you. And Ben, thank you, Ben, for coming in and spending some time to talk about the release. You guys, thank you for watching. Make sure you follow our channel. Push that little purple button down there at the bottom of our channel. And stick around. Keep watching for about 15 more minutes. We have the third and final part of our series of videos from when Dan Howell visited. We blew his mind quite a while back by giving him spoilers for this episode. And then we had him sign his life away so he wouldn't tell anybody.
Minimal
But-
spoilers because he didn't want a lot.
He didn't
Which
want.
is a good thing
He
we
didn't want
asked
a
him
lot,
that.
but it was great. His reactions were great. Like everything you told him just completely blew him away. It was super fun. So stick around. We're going to show that next, and I will see you guys on the next Guild Chat. So I want to talk a little bit about one of the things that I notice, and your fans are super fun. They really love you. But every time you talk
Yes.
about gaming, they're like, what? Why? What do you
Yeah.
mean you play video games? What is this? So can you talk a little bit about what got you started gaming and what you love about it?
Well, I'm a huge nerd. Is that a surprise? Wow. Yep, I have literally
You are
no
home
life.
now.
I don't go outside. And Guild Wars 2 is my favorite game. So
Thank you.
I spend a lot of time gaming. I have a gaming channel on YouTube called Danenful Games, which I was like, I spend all of my life just playing games, procrastinating. Why am I not just filming it? And then it
Yes,
looks like I'm doing
and-
something with my life. Relatable. So yeah, and then I've been playing the Guild Wars franchise since I was 12? Which is really
Wow.
disturbing. But that game's old now, isn't it? Guild Wars 1.
I'm so old.
I'm
so
sorry.
Am I. Holy cow.
I know. All these people are going, what have I done with my life? Don't worry.
You've done
It's
fun
okay.
things.
You're
It's-
beautiful. You have a plan.
You're totally allowed to have
Everything's
hobbies.
working out.
It's totally okay.
But yeah, so then I was one of those people that, saw that PC Gamer article with the 2 on it, and that's Guild Wars 2, and I was like,
I have that
5 years
magazine.
later, after the woman on the Titanic, here I was.
He comes crawling out of his basement like, what is this?
Yeah.
What is life?
And I think I got about 2,000 hours or something incredibly
Nice.
lame on Guild Wars 2, which is
So,
good. Yeah.
Excellent.
what drew you to the Guild Wars franchise? in the
I
first
just in the first place I saw an article that just explains this kind of like fantasy combat game, and it explained all the classes, and my like 12-year-old self was just like, wow, that sounds cool, I want to get that. So I bought it, and I just really loved it. And this was the time when a lot of my friends got addicted to World of Warcraft and kind of ruined their entire lives just grinding for gear instead of studying. But I just really loved the
At
the
$15
instance
a month.
nature of it. I know, and I couldn't afford that. That was it
Right.
for me. It was like
Yeah.
the business model of Guild Wars 2 was like the reason I had something to play when I was a kid, which was something that I really loved.
Nice.
And yeah, then I just stuck with it, and I fell in love with the universe of Guild Wars. Now I'm in too deep now. I can never stop playing Guild Wars 2. It's like Game of Thrones.
You're committed now.
I'm with it to the end. Either the game dies or I die.
Are you watching Game of Thrones?
I am.
Are you caught up?
I am, yeah. I'm on tour at the moment, by the way, which is why I'm in Seattle doing a stage show, which is why I sound like Mariah Carey as well. I'm very husky at the moment.
It works.
Do you think it's good? It's like my sensual
Yeah,
voice,
I think it
maybe.
goes.
Slightly.
Yeah, totally.
But I've been watching Game of Thrones on a MacBook on a bed, so
Oh
it's
my
not the epic
gosh.
experience. I was watching the Hold the Door episode, and I was like, I feel like this should be more emotional right now, but it's an 11-inch screen, so there we go. Oh, and making Guild Wars, playing that is hard while I'm on the road.
Right?
Thanks for releasing the Raid Wing while I'm living on a tour bus. Whose job was
You're
that?
welcome.
All my friends are
Very
at home playing it
impressive.
right now, and I'm like, well,
So we actually
Being on
waited
trackpad.
for you to leave the country.
and then just
and
released
then
it for me.
We were like, okay, he's gone. Go.
Great. That and daily league participator. I'm bad at PvP anyway. I cannot get the daily while I'm on tour. Sorry. That's just... I
He's
am
my
that
people.
guy dragging the team down. That's me.
That would, God forbid, we ever get on a team together because the whole team's just gonna.
Oh, that would be a
suck
complete
beyond
flop,
the telling
yeah.
of it.
I'm
It would
sorry.
not be okay.
Mhm.
All right. So, what is your favorite profession in Guild Wars 2?
My main is a mesmer.
Nice.
Damn it.
Yep,
Same.
it was my high five. Oh yeah, it was
I
in
can't
Guild Wars
mesmer.
1. It's
Thanks
hard,
for the jumping
isn't it?
puzzles.
I know, seriously.
Right? Have you ever portaled someone in a
I
jumping puzzle?
have, yeah, and I do not charge people in LFG. Oh, 1 gold to no. You're what's wrong with the world. No, yeah, I spend like 4 hours desperately getting to the top of Not So Secret, and then just going to map chat. Anything I can do to make people feel like they like me.
Benevolent.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you
know.
for also not charging, and thank you on behalf of those of us that cannot mesmer to
That
save their
kinda-
lives.
Yeah, or jump, like most of my friends who play the game. It took them about 4 hours. They did not have a good evening. But it was fun.
And
Thank
not
you,
so
Josh.
secret.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh no.
He's here. You can thank him in person in a little bit. Please don't hurt him.
Okay.
We
I will.
also need
No, I
him.
love him. I like the jumping and the suffering from tribulation mode.
Okay, so aside from jumping and suffering,
My 2 favorite things.
my favorite thing.
Right, guys? Relatable.
What is your favorite Guild Wars 2 content?
My favorite Guild Wars 2 content.
I mean, like after Jumping and Suffering.
I am going to go ahead and say that it is raiding.
Really?
And that is really funny because I am a lurker. I don't know about you guys, but the whole time I played Guild Wars 1 for 6 years, I never had a guild. I played with some school friends, and they all slowly stopped, and I was just always somebody that was in the map chat like, oh god, I have to roll a monk so I can get to join a group of people that want to play with me.
Yeah, I have a guildmate like that.
I know, and in Guild Wars 2 for 2 years, I was just floating between guilds, and I didn't really have any in-game friends, but then when Raiding came out in Heart of Thorns, I was like, I really want to experience this content, so I might actually have to put myself out there. And I imagine, like a lot of people watching this, that was terrifying, because I'd never put on a headset. Despite, obviously, my job is being an entertainer, nobody knows who I am in the Guild Wars universe.
So you're probably tired of talking after a while. You just want to, like, kick back and... Yeah.
So it was really scary for me. I was like, I want to do these world bosses, I want to do the raids, but I don't have any friends. And then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna bite the bullet. I'm gonna buy a headset off Amazon, and then I sat down and I pugged Spirit Veil for a week. And it was the worst of times, it was the best of times, but then through the pugging, I made a group of friends of people that I added as my contacts. And now, for the first time ever in 10 years of playing the Guild Wars universe, I actually have a group of friends that I talk to regularly, which is amazing. I know, it's really good. I mean, to anyone out there, because I know there's a lot of people that are like, I want to get into raids, but I'm scared, I don't think I'm good enough. If you suck, then that might be a challenge, because I have some friends that are really bad, and it's like, okay, you can try. But if your issue is not being brave enough
not to say that about me.
If your issue is not being social, I say go for it, because I did it, and it was good. Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's funny, because none of the people actually know who I am. They just refer to me as Gabriel in game. So if any of them watch this, they're probably like, what the hell? Why didn't you say anything? Sorry. I'm really antisocial.
How do you even, like, bring that up? You're like, by the way, you might not know who I am.
I know,
there's
weird.
no good way to do that.
I know, yeah. So if you've ever had somebody with a really obnoxious British voice Commander Jack Gerrant kill in the Guild Wars 2 community team speak, that was me. Yep,
Seriously?
That was it. Yeah, actually.
Oh, man.
Because when it was really hard, when it first came out with Heart of Thorns, it was so hard. I really wanted to do it, and it was one of those things where I couldn't find a group, so I had to make the group. So I was like, hey, I don't have a raiding group. I am going to start the LFG. Nobody's doing this world boss. The main group of people that are doing it, I am going to put up that commander tag. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm going to do it.
Let's find out.
And honestly, getting the first Jack Gerrant kill when it was really hard with a group of 150 randoms on TeamSpeak was one of the most fun things I have ever done in the whole of gaming. So you guys should definitely get into it.
You're actually making me want to commander tag up more.
You should. That'd be funny.
I'm always so tired when I get home. I'm like, all right, I'm going to log in and somebody do it for me.
Yeah.
That is my role right now.
I'm going to auto-attack and just stand in the blue donut while everybody dies.
I have like a little dunking bird that I put on my one.
If I die? No, I'm resting.
The waypoint's so far away.
It's interesting. Blue donut. We always refer to it as the purple jacuzzi.
The purple jacuzzi? What? Yeah. It's a blue donut.
Oh, okay.
Clearly. Maybe that's just us weird Europeans.
No.
It's just mesmers, man.
Mesmers, yeah. Us widows.
Okay. All right, so what are you most looking forward to that's coming up in Guild Wars 2? You can't say can't because we already said it 87 times.
Not that, no. I'm really looking forward to the next season of Living World. And just the raids that I haven't gotten to play yet. Because you're posting all these pictures of the boss on Facebook, and I'm
really
like,
awesome.
Spoilers! So,
it's super awesome. You should totally try it.
I will.
I'm sorry.
Plug for the new content.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that is my answer.
Sweet.
Definitely.
Well, Frosty has very high-level spoilers because
Spoilers.
this is why you signed the NDA.
They own my life now.
We do. Did you read page 3? Because there's some good stuff in there.
Uh-oh. Okay, I have no idea what's about to happen.
I don't know if we have. I don't know
Do I have to
actually
give
if
you
it's
my
got 3
skin or
pages.
something? What's this going to be?
Just your organs if you die. Don't worry about it.
Donating my organs to Mo if anything happens. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we need him. All right. So I brought Andrew in so he could tell you a little bit about what's coming up with the next Living Story.
Okay.
And this won't go live until after it's live.
Okay.
So, you've played Heart of Thorns, I take it.
I've played Heart of Thorns.
A little bit.
Just making sure. So
I have prioritized Heart of Thorns over my well-being.
Without spoiling too much, because you requested a lack of spoilers, you will be paying some respects to Air.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. Because I was like, why is... Okay, I know I've got an Elder Dragon.
Well, it was sort of deliberate to end hot on like a very... like
blockbuster
finish.
You
know? It's kind of like a Empire Strikes Back sort of ending where it's just like, there's more coming.
Yeah.
You know? So you are definitely going to go pay respects to her.
So I'm
and
going to start by crying.
so
Okay.
I'm just going to throw this out there
Yeah.
for when you play through the content. You know those people that are really stoic, but then when they see somebody else cry, they start crying?
Yes.
Pay a visit to Bretlock.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just
I like over here with my lip trembling.
just
and
just
that is
throwing
a
it
level of
out
angst
there.
I'm
If
not
you
prepared to experience right now, but
just be
Redlock
alone.
needs to be tough for everybody else who isn't tough.
Mhm,
If
yeah.
Redlock's not tough, then what happens?
Let's find out.
See.
Okay.
So you're gonna pay respects to her, and then you're gonna touch back and base with Timmy to sort of see what's been happening in the world since the
Which is like one of the biggest mysteries. What the heck is happening in Renovis? Okay.
right. And have you been playing any of the? Well, probably not because you're on tour right now. But we've been releasing content
But I've
every
been
couple
trying
weeks.
to. I haven't been able. I'm like lagging along, and then somebody scooped up one of the things, and I'm like, no. But yeah.
I
So
knew that.
sort of a general theme for actually the season in general, not even just our episode, is that like Magic is sort of going crazy.
crazy.
It's very chaotic. And actually we're going to be adding a new open world map. I won't tell you where it is because
Okay.
that's kind of a spoiler.
Okay.
But let's just say it is very magical.
Is it the gap between Ratasum and Tangled Depths?
No,
Ooh. Okay.
it is
Sorry.
not.
Do you want to know where it is?
Yes.
It's the Bloodstone.
Don't mind me. I'm
But-
just internally
but-
freaking out right now. Okay.
But it's not exactly intact anymore.
Oh, okay.
Because as you approach it, it explodes. Which is
that
kind
a
of a
dramatic
spoiler.
cinematic?
It's
Okay.
it's going to be a pretty
That's
epic.
good. I like that.
It's really cool looking. So when you're in this map, first of all, we gave you glider skills in this
Yes.
map. You can shoot things while you're gliding, which is something that I just always wanted to be able to do. Because why the hell not?
Dogfighting.
Yeah, it's super fun. In addition to that, we have a sort of season-wide currency. Instead of doing map currencies, so every individual map has its own thing, we have one that's just going to be all of the content in the season
Oh,
is going to be
cool.
giving you. You're collecting this unbound magic, which is, like I said, magic is kind of loose and crazy. It's just sort of floating through the air. So you're going to get the ability to sort of harvest it. And so there's little, like, part of that is like there's little floaty orbs in the sky that you can fly around and collect. So it'll be
Oh,
like
cool.
like aerial gathering instead of just like resource node.
Aerial gathering.
Aerial
Is that a
gathering.
term you've thought
Yes,
about? I
yes.
love that.
Actually, I just came up with that right
Aerial
now.
I was like,
gathering.
you haven't said that before.
Make
This
it
is
sound
new.
Yeah,
like
man.
you planned that. That was good.
Man, why wasn't that one of my 7-second questions? Damn.
Come up with a really cool
Yeah.
name for picking stuff up while gliding. Yeah.
So, but it's not all fun and games up there. There's also some magical storms that if you fly through them, they do chaotic things because it's just raw magic of all sorts. One of my favorite things that I do to you when you fly through these.
Personally.
Yes, I personally do.
Especially
Yes,
after
I come
made
out of
you
it. I'm like,
that.
ah,
Yeah.
Only
Understandable.
Dan.
Yes, it turns you into a moa while you're flying.
What?
And I don't know if you knew this about moas, but they're
They're
flightless birds.
flightless birds, right? Yeah,
Flightless birds.
that doesn't work out.
Something
okay.
seemed just poetic about
You're a bad
It's
person.
like
turning
the irony
flying
of
humans
me mowing
into
people in
flightless
PvP.
birds.
Always. It's like so many people, I just go, transform mower. Now it's my turn to die and go, this is unfair.
We actually watched to see how many times you did that, and that's how many times it will happen to you.
Really? Okay,
Wow.
that's good.
We've got some really powerful metrics.
It's amazing.
You have
what
no
they
idea
can
the
do.
stuff they collect. Joking.
Apparently, we spent time on that.
So did you play the Guild Wars Beyond content?
I did, back in the day, wow, yeah.
So you know Zen,
hmm
and you know that he is the founder of Renovis as
He is
well,
the
right?
founder of Renovis, yep.
So he's actually gonna. I mean, he's long dead, but some of
Confirmed.
yes, super long dead. Some of his magic is actually going to come into play, and we'll be adding a
Okay.
new mastery line. And then the first skill of that is going to be based on that. It's going to be very similar to Spectral Infusion from Guild Wars 1.
Oh, okay.
I'll let you just sort of think
Yeah,
about
yeah,
what
yeah.
that might mean without spoiling
Mhm.
anything.
Infusion runs for days.
Yeah. So let's see. What else can I tell you without spoiling?
I'm like nervously rotating the lid on this Sharpie, like,
Cameron,
play
you
this
just
now.
got
I
that.
wanna play
Don't
this
ruin
now.
your gift.
there we go.
Oh, look at this.
It's down.
I give you things, you throw them
Sorry.
on the ground. That was the
As
best.
an
That was the
ArenaNet
best
magical
Sharpie.
Sharpie.
That was
Is it
the
your
best Sharpie in the
Sharpie?
building.
I'm so disrespectful.
So you've been playing a raid, so you know that we've been sort of touching on the white mantle stuff like
Mhm.
that. So I can tell you that is definitely going to come into play
Good, good.
in Living World.
You just
which-
gasped. What?
Nothing.
Okay. I'll see.
You didn't know that?
No,
Was
I
that-
just was
what?
like, oh my gosh, he's really gonna like. Oh gosh, okay, never mind.
I could tell
Sorry.
him that much.
You can, yeah.
Okay.
No, it wasn't like, oh gosh, that's a bad thing. It's, oh yeah, the thing that you were telling me earlier, where you were
I need something to
There's
hyperventilate
nothing
about.
I can say
Yeah.
unless you want to know.
I am a no spoiler zone. Seriously, this is
Okay.
it for me. Any more
Yeah.
than this, I'd start crying blood.
Okay.
So that's good. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Don't do
I will
that.
stop.
Cheers
are white.
I'll stop.
No.
Leave
I
the
am
rest for you.
thoroughly teased. Okay, and so when people see this, they'll actually been able to play
The
it.
content will have been live.
What a
so-
time to be alive! Don't you love life?
And
Life
now
is
it's
great.
June, and
Yep.
and now you have to wait.
Okay.
But it's okay because you're
I'm
gonna be
fine.
super busy on tour.
Yes, and then
So
I
it's
get
gonna
back and I get
fly.
to go, teach me the raids, and all my friends go, oh god. Seriously, I'm that guy that temporal curtains the slublings into the group during Slothazor, so they're trying to eat, and I'm like, control the mobs. Whoops. Okay. Yeah.
Or we could do this instead.
Yes.
All right. So here's my question: how many of the raid bosses have you killed? Who have you killed?
All of them.
Dang it.
Obviously.
I am
Eternal.
the worst.
I'm a really cool guy.
Wait, you've got Eternal?
Yes.
Take me raiding.
Get on my level, Ruby.
I can't. I can't do it.
You physically can't get on the level.
Well, I'm very short, and you're not. So
Okay, yeah.
it's a problem.
I'm in a different cloud zone at my height.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah, no, that's good.
All right. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm
Yeah.
sorry that you're so jealous, but I've had a great time. Thank you. Have a lovely day.